hang on a sec, what happened to the Audi A1? It got all square-edged and butch and muscular and masculine. This is the second generation version of Audi's smallest model, and it replaces the existing one, which was on sale for a full 8 years. And a bit like a scrawny kid who's reappeared after school holidays with stubble and biceps and a deeper voice, this car isn't how you remember the A1. Sure, there are some bits that have remained relatively similar, but it's a vastly different car in terms of design. It's hard to put into words just how big of a departure this new generation version of the Audi A1 is compared with its predecessor. So let's just put these here to help you see what I'm on about. To my eye, the new A1 is more aggressive, more energetic, more athletic than it ever has been. And it certainly looks like it's going to agitate things in the luxury car segment, especially at the lower end. If you're looking at a Mini Cooper or maybe a Mercedes A-Class, this could get you over the line if you like the styling more. There are angular headlights with LED daytime running lights, a big grille with 3 little slats above it, which looks very similar to the Hyundai Kona, don't you think? And the body has a less rounded, more edgy look to it. And tucked under those squared off guards are wheels up to 18 inches in size. At the back, there's a set of LED taillights which can perform a sort of theatrical illumination sequence at startup and shutdown. It's bigger too, longer and wider and a little bit lower to the ground. And there's a longer wheelbase as well, which means more room in the back seat and, importantly, there's a bigger boot. The cargo capacity is now much more competitive with 335 litres of space with 5 seats up, and that jumps to more than 1,000 litres with the seats folded down. Now, you might have noticed that this A1 has 5 doors, and all of them will. There won't be a 3-door version this time around, but it wasn't that popular anyway. Space in the back is pretty good for the size of the car. I'm 6 foot tall, this is set in my driver's position, and I've got enough knee room to be comfortable back here for a long time. You won't fit 3 of me across the back though, it is a little bit narrow, and there's a few shortcomings as well. There's no flip down armrest with center cup holders. In fact, there's no cup holders at all back here. There's no rear air vents, and although you do get big door pockets and a pair of map pockets as well, it does feel a little bit Spartan back here. There's a little bit of evidence of cost cutting back here with this little section here isn't color coded like it is up front, and it doesn't get the nice shinier plastic on the door. Does it matter? It might. According to Audi, this was supposed to feel very sporty inside, and for the most part, it does. There are some really youthful elements like this yellow colour coding, which coincides with the exterior of the car, and it's splashed around the cabin pretty liberally, which is quite nice. I like the fact that there are nice comfortable seats. They are quite firm, but also very supportive, and there's little elements like these inlays in the door handle pocket, I guess you call it, but there are some signs of cost cutting. Things like hard, scratchy plastics on the doors, which is kind of weird because they've got soft plastic on top of the dashboard. I would have preferred that. As for storage, it's reasonably well sorted. There are a pair of cup holders up here, and there's a very small center bin in here, plus there's another bin up in front of the shifter, and you get decent sized door pockets, but unlike some other Volkswagen Group products, they don't get lining in the pockets, so things can move around when you're going through corners. This spec has a big 10-inch media screen up here on the dashboard, which looks great and it's easy to use. And if you're like me, you'll be happy to learn that it does have a volume knob as well. It's just down here next to the shifter. You get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it's really nice to use. But probably even nicer is this sort of fish scale finish across the dashboard. It's really neat. Really should hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, and also stay tuned and see what score I give this car at the end, and read the full detailed review to see how I got to that score. Now let's consider how it drives. You won't be too surprised to learn that it drives fairly similarly to a Volkswagen Polo because it shares the same underpinnings. What that means is you're getting a really nicely cushioned ride from the road surface underneath you, and relatively light steering, and a fairly perky engine. The engines that we'll get in Australia aren't confirmed just yet, but at this point in time we're driving the new 1.5 litre 4-cylinder turbo engine, which has cylinder deactivation, so it can save you fuel if you're in light throttle situations like I am right now. All models that we get in Australia will come with S-Tronic automatic transmissions. That means they're dual clutch automatics and there won't be any manuals offered. What I can say about the transmissions in the cars I've driven so far is that they're fairly snappy, as we've come to expect, but you do have to pay attention at lower speeds because it can be a little bit hesitant to take off. Now, this 1.5 litre turbo engine is fairly nice. It revs really smoothly and it's relatively rapid as well. As for the steering, it's pretty good for this sort of car and most people won't find too much wrong with it. For the more enthusiastic driver, you might find that it is a little bit too light and not as engaging as, say, a Mini Cooper. And that could be a car you're considering if you're looking at an Audi A1. There aren't that many competitors to this car. I mean, if you're willing to spend up to, say, $40,000 on a luxury light car like this, then yeah, there's not many to choose from. But you could save yourself 15 grand and just buy a Polo. We also drove the 40 TFSI, which is a 2 litre 4-cylinder turbo engine, and it likely will be the most potent A1 you can get. And there's a good chance you won't get an S1 because last time around it was a bit of a flop. That's because it was manual only. The new top spec version is automatic only. And it's got the same engine as the Polo GTI. So if you're looking at a Polo GTI and you love performance, then maybe check out the 40 TFSI. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue like GTI does, but that's just how it is with this new naming structure. So it's mostly pretty good news for the Audi A1 in terms of the way it drives. It rides well, the engine's pretty good, and the steering, yeah, it might not be perfect, but it's predictable. But one thing that I can't forgive is the amount of road noise. On coarse chip surfaces at 100 or 110 k's an hour, it's almost deafening in here. And sure, if you're buying a Mini Cooper, you're getting a pretty noisy car as well. But at least you're getting one that's maybe a little bit sportier and more dynamic to drive. So what will it cost? That's still to be confirmed because the new A1 range doesn't arrive on sale until the second quarter of 2019 in Australia. But we'd bank on a starting price close to 30 grand, with a few different variants to choose from at launch. But unlike the Polo that shares so much with the A1, you won't get a 5-year warranty. Audi has a 3-year plan with the same cover for servicing too. I can't wait to see where Audi Australia prices and positions this new A1 when it arrives in the second quarter of 2019, because I've been pretty impressed by it in round terms at this early launch drive. Tell us what you think. Where should it be priced and what should it come with? Let us know in the comments section below.